Hello everyone, this is Lolly. Today we're going to work on these, which are these really pretty music themed paper clips. This is in honor of National Paperclip Day, which is May 29th. And in our Facebook group, Paperclip Art, we'd like to celebrate in May by making a paperclip that also has another paperclip on it. So for me, these paper clips were sent to me by a friend, and she gave me a few of those. So I want to show you what else besides that paper clip. You can use anything on here, obviously. I want to show you what else I'm using. So I am using this, which is actually the smallest tag die in this nested tag set by Elizabeth Craft Designs, but you do not have to use a die. You can cut a rectangle and use one of your other dies to shape the top, or one of your hole punches, or a tag punch, whatever you want. You could even use the top of a file folder and get that tag in there. Whatever you want to do to get a tag this size. So let me give you an idea on measurements on that, just in case you want to get something similar. And this is 1 3/4, and if you go to the very top, it's about 3 inches. And then I wanted some kind of music in there, or music theme, so I am using a piece of a hymn. Now, the page was pretty white, so I sprayed it, which I do a lot. I use this Distress Oxide spray in antique linen, just gave it a little mist, and then I cut strips out of that. And then I have this pad that I've been using for a lot of things. It was clearance at the Paper Studio, which is Hobby Lobby's brand, called Josephine's Miscellany. It has some good music-themed papers in there, and I think I want to get this in there. So let's get a trimmer in there. And the other thing I'm using is pieces of this, which is actually something that I made, and I will give you a link down below to the tutorial on how to make those little pieces there. Other than that, I'm using some cheesecloth, distress ink in walnut stain, and for the flower, I'm using this. I'm in a group on Facebook, and I will write the name of the group right here across the screen and give you a link to it. She sells some digital downloads, but she also has some freebies, and this was one of the freebies in the group. And these are the flowers that I'm using. And then in addition to that, you're going to need some stamens, which I think I got these from Hobby Lobby as well. For glue, Fabri-Tac should do pretty much everything for you, except we have a little secret. I'm going to show you a new old glue, but new to me, a glue that I'm starting to use and what I'm using it for. So stay tuned for that. And I might need a clamp, we'll see. And you might need a little craft blade to cut a hole. So let's get started, and let's get the paper trimmer out. First thing I want to do is cut this little piece right there. I don't know how much I need, so I'm just cutting that. I'm just cutting. I'm not really measuring. That's probably a little big. And then you'll see I cut this at an angle on purpose. And I know that I want, I don't know, about 1 1/2 inch strip maybe. I like having it at an angle. It just adds some, some interest there. First thing I want to do is get this distressed with the walnut. And I also want to take the, one of the things that comes with the die set is the hole reinforcers. There's 2 sizes because you might want a bigger hole reinforcements for the bigger size. And I want to show you what the largest die in that set looks like, because I was thinking it would be really great to make a journal cover. So I'm going to be doing this later. I think this is a big size. This is the smallest. Really think it's a pretty cool set. You can use your Fabri-Tac for this, but why not use the paper glue if I've got it? Also, you might want something to put through the hole at the top, like twine or whatever. I'm going to leave this out because I know I'm going to need that again. So we're just going to start layering here. Is it too wide? Maybe. Let's trim this a little more. I think I said that I had it at 1.5 inches. Let me try that at 1 1/4 inches. Now I'm going to measure here which part I want right there and trim off the excess. So that's down to size. I keep these little scraps. I have a box for all of my, like my typology papers, all my vintage looking papers, and so I'll just put these in there. Okay, so let's get these get the Fabri-Tac out. So now I'm just really smushing it down there, and you can pull some of these threads out. I do want to get this somewhat flat. So if you have a big roll in there, just fold it over, put that on there. If it's too big sticking out, you really don't like it, do that, and then pull some extra threads out. Just like that, and pull some out. Okay, so now this is pretty juicy. I could let it dry, or I could just keep layering. And so that's what I'm going to do. Oops, I didn't mean to drop it, but that's okay. You could put this all the way at the bottom, but I kind of like the tag showing. The first one I didn't use the cheesecloth just because I couldn't find it. So I'm really happy that I found it. It's one of those items that always ends up lost in my craft room, and I don't know why. Every time I put it away, I think this is where I'm going to put this away so I can find it next time, and it still doesn't work. Okay, and this little piece I'm going to trim down because I only want part of it showing. I love the little thin bits hanging at the bottom there. Perfect. And this is kind of plasticky. The Fabri-Tac will also work for that, and I'm only gluing the top because I would really like for this part to not be attached. That's just me. Okay, now let's get to our flower. I want to fussy cut this one because it has some pretty leaves there with it. All done, but I guess we do need the Distress ink again because I like to get those white edges from cutting. I like to get those white edges taken care of. And another thing I like to do is kind of take a little bit of marker here. This is just a micron PN, and just kind of accentuate the edges here because I don't feel like I'm really getting the definition in this design. So the other thing we need to do is to get a hole here for that stamen. So we need to get our blade, and I'm just cutting right across the bottom, right across the bottom at that stamen. Make sure that I go all the way through. I am. And then we take one of these. I think these were actually in the wedding section at Hobby Lobby. When I fold them, I'm making sure that one of them sticks up higher than the other, getting a nice sharp point there and pushing them through. Now you've got a couple options here. You can just trim off the ends and glue them on the back, or leave it that way. If they're really long, like you don't want them sticking out that far and you pull them through, you need to fold them over or trim them off. So I'm going to do this. Now I want to show you this glue that I started using. And this is Weld Bond. Wood, tile, glass, foam, stone, ceramics, and more. Bonds most anything. Crystal, dries crystal clear, permanent and flexible. The reason I started using this is because of how thick it is and how it dries thick. And so if I want, and I think you might be able to see it right here on this flower, how it's sticking up. Instead of using foam tape, maybe I don't want as thick a layer as foam tape, or I want it at an angle like this. Maybe I want the back up. This one, the front is up, which I think I'll do it that way again. And plus, so this is going to help my stamens stay. I'm going to lift this up just a little bit, pull this up. Okay, sure I am. Glue versus lolly. Who's going to win? Okay, and I'm going to get some right on that stamen there and a little bit here, but right the area that I really want to stick up, I'm going to put a nice juicy blob on there. Doesn't that scare you? And just lay that down right there like that. And I am not going to mess with it other than push these stamens where I want them. Okay, now that is, you really have to let this dry. So I'll let that dry. I'm going to burp the bottle so that I get the glue out of the tip and push that down. Now, I don't know how long this really takes to dry because I put a big blob on there. I love this for layering because, like I said, let me show you what it looks like right inside there. See how thick that is? If I lay on this now, it's going to squish out. Don't want to do that. So we're going to let this dry before we put a tag topper. So for this one, I took a strip of this cheesecloth and ran it through here with some organza ribbon. This one is organza and some jute, and I really like this one, or twine. I really like this one better, I think. Probably because this one already has plenty of the cheesecloth. This one is kind of less cheesecloth, and it's more on the bottom. I really like it sticking out the bottom. So one thing we can do while this is setting up is get our paper clip on there. So this is what I'm using. I call these paperclip blanks. Now I do carry these in my shop, but those of you who can't get them, you're international, and those who don't want to buy them from me, that is fine. So what these are is these are the backs for button making machines, the 1-inch button making machine in which you can, make your own handmade buttons or pins or flare, whatever people call them. But instead of a pin backing, it's a paperclip blank. So I know We Are Memory Keepers, they've changed their name, We Are Makers now, carries these for their button machine. I have used them, I have tried them, and that's why I like this kind better. They're nice and firm. You just snap the single loop in there until it clicks, and then use your permanent glue to adhere that in the back. Could use the weld bond. It does take a while to set up, so I'm going to go ahead and use my Beacon Power Tack. Okay, set that under there right where I want it. Turn it over, make sure. And I have a silicone mat under my work, so I'm just going to lay that like that, and that's going to be fine. Although I think I might want something to rest that on there so it's nice and level. Another thing you can do while this flower is setting up is you can add some gems, flat back pearls, Nouveau drops. I use Nouveau drops here and here. But I feel like, I might bump this if I try it, but not necessarily. Should we try it? Let's see. Let's see just how good I am today. Make sure you hit that subscribe button if you're not already subscribed. Please also give this video a thumbs up. It helps other people to actually find my channel. And I also have a group on Facebook called Paperclip Art. We do ask that you've been on Facebook at least a year and answer the 2 questions that we have for you when you request to join. You know what? Let's go ahead and put this paperclip on there while we are jabbering. I like to put it on the left side because it offsets the flower on the right, music note on the left. The only thing this one needs is the twine at the top, and we're good. So thank you everyone for watching. I will give you a close-up of these at the end of this video.